Good to you. Welcome again to a Fourfold Coaches session, and look forward to some
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you, Tom. We're missing you here in South Africa. We're really missing you. Yeah, thank you so much. I just need to start again where I left off there a few say years ago. You can't coach if you don't know who you are. You need to understand who you are, because if you don't know who you are, you will allow other people to transform you, to interfere with your whole way of thinking. And then you will put your trust in their views. If they say you're good, then you feel good. If they say you're bad, you feel bad. You need to understand who you are in Christ if you want to become a coach, if you want to work with other people around you that God entrusts in your might. So every player, every athlete that you meet is an ordinary person. He's ordinary in the fact that that is how God has made him. And too many of us, we take what God has put in us and we sit on it and we hope that we will become the best. And for us as coaches, it's our job to take that gold that God has gave into our hands and to make jewelry out of them, so that the value in the person can become more and the value in the player. So I start off immediately with this interview. And if you look at this circle, the blue part to me is actually where you're born. You start playing whatever sport you want to play or whatever you want to do. You're ordinary in that space, and that is how good you are. At a very low level, that is good enough to be better than other people. It's good enough to stand out. But as you grow, you get into that white circle there, and that white circle can become your enemy. That white circle, because you're better than others around you, you excel quicker than them. That white circle there can become your enemy, because in that white circle is composed. You sit and you don't want to grow. You don't need to grow because nobody around you inspires you to get to the next level. But to get to the next level, the stuff that you have to go through, firstly, is pain. And that is so important, that if you don't go through pain, and where we go wrong, we're not talking about physical pain only. The mental part of going through that thing is so tough. You have to grow in all parts. If you can't grow holistically, then there's no way that the next part can be made. All the sacrifices to become the best, all the sacrifices to understand that people will talk bad about you, that people will say things that can actually make you to give up. And you have to sometimes leave your own family, put them aside to achieve other people's goals. The third one that is very important, or in me, what my coaching was, trust. If you can't trust yourself, you can't trust other people, and other people can't trust you. If you says to them, we're running tomorrow morning at 5, you must start running at 5. You don't get there at 5 and those kind of things, but you must be there first. If you tell them that they must be honest, you need to be honest first. Those are the little things that's very important to get them there. And then there must be belief. Firstly, believe in themselves. They must believe in themselves, because if they believe in themselves, they believe that they're made in the image of God and they are representative of what God has instilled in them. So whenever they went through, now you as coaches, please, I want you guys to add to that yellow part, because it differs from area to area and people you work with. So the yellow part you can fill in with with your challenges with your players. But as soon as you overcome it, the yellow part becomes blue. So now the blue is actually much bigger than what it were, and you has done a great job. But that's not the only thing. Then the white part again becomes your enemy, because the biggest challenges a podium athlete do face, um, especially when he's at the top of his sport, is pressure, and most of us can't handle that pressure, because the pressure to be the best is nothing, but the pressure to remain there is so much bigger, you know. So if you overcome this enemy again, and now in that enemy, you can actually add whatever you want to add. Again, some people's families do support them, others don't. Some people have the means, others don't. So that enemy changes from person to person, and you as a coach need to understand with who you are working to overcome that enemy. Because if you don't overcome that enemy, then you won't get into the green. And when he's in the green, when your player is in the green, then you can sit back as a coach, because the whole circle of his development it become blue. So he has took himself now from ordinary to extraordinary. Suddenly he will become a leader. Suddenly he will actually bring across to the rest of the team what's expected of them to be at the top, and he will actually become your coaching tool, bringing across to the team where you want to be. So now people will ask you, but you're not coaching, the players is coaching. Say, yeah, they are coaching at this stage, because I equipped them, I gave them all the tools, and now they can go coach. So what did I do with John Smith? I told him, listen here, meneer, I am going to put in place all the structures you want. Your job is to look after the outcome of the game. So if you as a coach want to look after the outcome too, then somewhere, somehow, the responsibilities that and the roles that the players that need to play is disjointed, and they will look at you when things go wrong. They will never take responsibility. So you must understand your role first, get the team to where you want the team to be, and then play your role and let them play theirs. So yeah, I just worked it out like that for us. And what's very important is our brain has been is in four parts: the what, the how, the why, and the who. And those four parts are so important for us. I'm just gonna fill them in. And all these data that's there, they find their way in the different parts of your brain. And now you can, if in your own time, because Tom has this information, he will share it with you. If you need it, sometimes people don't need it, then it's wasted time for you. But we can get it from him. But some of us is more worried about the process. Others is more worried about relationships. Others have a data thing. So your players are different people, although they all nod their heads when when you say something to them. They are different, putting different emphasis on different things. And what I'm trying to say to you is, a why person can become a what person, but you will always be fundamentally and primarily a why person. So if you tell them we're going to South Africa, the why person will ask you why. The what person will say, what are we going to do there? The who person will ask, who's going with us? And the how person will say, now how are we going to get there? The same damn thing, just on a different level of their interest. So if you can't bring across a new skill, a new play, that will speak to the different kind of brain profiles, you might lose some of your players before you get to the pitch. Now, this is the normal brain. This is the normal person's brain. The difficult part for you and me as coaches, we don't work with that normal brain. We work with different kinds of brains. We add more to it. If you look at this picture here, the fish, they can't. The fish is South Africa. They're going to play against Australia. They can't win Australia, but they believe they're going to win it. So what the fish is there, because the cat is there, on 3 we will be a piranha. They will never become a piranha. So you must understand that you're a fish. You must understand what your strengths are. You understand what your weaknesses are, and rather swim away from that man, and you know you will still live to see another day. So when we get to our brains, we've got not 4, but we got 8 different parts. And this is very, very important for you to understand that in that 8 different parts of your brain, some people come to your practices with their own baggage, and you come to your own practice with your own. Where do you meet each other, or where do you miss each other? And if you don't understand these little things here, then I'm telling you now, my biggest fear was the day of a test, when I understood my players' brain profiles and what their strengths are. My biggest fear was my final team talk, because if I don't get it spot on to speak to all these kind of dimensions in your brain, if you don't speak to each and every person who falls in that category, you might lose them before the game. And if you lose them before the game, they won't be inspired enough to go play to the best of their abilities. And this is very, very important for us to understand that these people are more important than what we are, for one reason. Coaches don't make players, players make coaches. If they go perform brilliant, you will definitely get the name. If they go mess it up, you will definitely go look and try and find a name for yourself. Before I go any further, Tom, should I allow interaction here?
Maybe, because I would be good, because I think there's a lot that has been shared. So just given an opportunity, if there's anyone that would like to just say ask a question in relation to the slides that Peter has just shared. Anybody? Peter, probably let me start, and then the rest probably can probably come in as well if they have a question. So you mentioned about the different parts of the brains that that we may have, the what, the why, the how, and the who. So the question is, how do you communicate to your players so that you can accommodate each of these different dimensions that that each personality that each player has, so that you can meet the need? How do you communicate with them?
That is the most difficult part of coaching, and a lot of players do actually lose their players in exactly what you are saying, Tom. God has given us a measurement of what He thought we can handle. Now I think in my mind He given me 3 parts of whatever He wanted me to have. But there are players who has 5 measures of what God has given. So if we don't listen to those guys, we gone. And if you don't listen to them, you will never know where they fall as a brain emphasis of his brain. And the guy who's actually never says a word, that is your challenge, because you need him to say something so that you can understand where he falls when you bring something across. If someone is an analyst, for instance, I made the analyst a cow. Anybody can make it anything. If you talk to an analyst as a player, if you don't give him the angles, different angles. He will always stand there. And what is the reason? What should I do there? Because he's got an analytic brain, you know. But the guy who's a socializer, if you tell him, listen here, we're gonna do that. No, it's fine. We go. Like Bakis Bueta, he's a socializer, you know. You tell Bakis, listen here, I want you to kill 3 people in a game. He will ask you what time, you know. Um, so you need to understand those little. There's somebody like a Willie Leroux at this stage with the Springboks, the fullback. He's a big imaginator. You can see he imagines things. He can't execute what he sees in his brain. So somewhere somebody has to tone him a bit down and to let him run into structures where he plays a minimum role of organizing and play more in a finishing role, because he has a imagination that, yeah, I'm telling you, is so wild, you know. And then your organizer again, a guy like we had then, Victor, who want to know every opponent that he plays again, and they want to know when they stand there, where the ball will go. He will organize everything for somebody else to go do the job. So now you've got a Scout Berger who's a free agent, a free mind. He just want to play the game. He's uncoachable. You need him in a game. You don't chase him away, because the uncoachable guys, the guys who will make a plan. Now, if you tell him too much what to go do on the day, before he goes onto the field, you lose him completely as a player. You know, you must interact with him where he feels, okay, I can go do what I want to, but you never said it to him. So you sit down and you work out the way you're going to send them onto the field, that you actually touch most of their hearts. You will make a mistake here or there, but if you can be 75% spot on with your players, they will feed off each other.
Thanks, Peter. Is there anyone else that wants to ask a question related to what Peter has shared so far? Just you can unmute yourself and then just ask. If not, then we'll just ask Peter to continue. But by the way, the slides, I have the slides, and I will be sharing it as well after the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. Now the next 2 slides, Tom, I'm not going to run through it too much, because that will bore coaches. I know coaches guys for action, you know. They will sit rather back home alone and run through it. But now I'm going to describe each and every brain type and player type that you'll find where you need to sit, so you can understand what you and how you must bring it across to some of them. So I won't run through all these things, but I will just show you that it's important for you now to understand, if you read through it, with what kind of person you are working and how you can interact with them. The one thing that I can say to our coaches is that one thing that I actually brought into my coaching arsenal, if I can say it like that, always be there 15 minutes before the players come. Because if you're there 15 minutes before the players come, you can see how they approach, how they come to the practice, how they get out of their car. You can see, wow, that's not the same guy who came out like yesterday when he came to the car. So you understand there's something wrong with that player. So now you can pull him aside and you can ask him to tell you, and I'm telling you now, I was spot on with those kind of things. When we look at a guy like John Smith, before we prepared for the Lions test, his son felt ill, but he's such a professional, you'll never see it on his face. But the way he was talking to the players and the way he ran, I could pick up there's something wrong with him. And then his boy was sick, and I sent him back home to just to be there, to see that everything is fine, and to come back to the practice again. Wow, we spend a lot of money by flying him up and down, but you need to do it if you want him to perform 100% as a player. So yeah, all these things are very important. The one brain type doesn't mean that he can't be another one. He can be any brain type, but he is primarily and strongly the one. So if you can speak to the one, all the others will in himself will suitably follow him and to give his best. So yeah, there we are. Just running through all those stuff quickly. Because I know Tom, you still have a hell of a lot to do to those guys. After you've worked with those brain types, you can go ask yourself this question: what do my team need to be successful? So what can I bring, and who of these different players can I use to bring the other stuff so that I can make my team a very professional team and a successful team? They need to ask questions all the time. And if they don't do that, they get bored too, because it's something they do every day. They get used to it, and there's nothing new for them in. So you must bring them into to tell you, Coach, I think we can play this move. The player will tell you, scrum off maybe or fly off. Then you stop everything. You say, guys, just come in. Just come listen what this guy has to say here. Now, everybody understand it comes from him and not from me, you know? So I support what they do too. And that makes them feel secure in themselves to do and to try anything on the field, because when they discuss it beforehand, they got the support to go. You won't agree with everything, but you will always be there to support. All right. And then we're coming to the end of this thing now, where your brain profile of your team, you can work now out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So in each one is 2. If you understand where your players are, you will see what your team is dominantly like. Here you can see they dominantly left brainers, and they will actually give to you more of an organized thing than what you will actually get if you tell them just go into the field and go anything that moves you can kill. If this was dominant, then the guys here that's a different way of handling your team. So you will look and you will understand where your team is dominant and where the dimensions take you to, and you will take it from there. I broke it up. This is a team that I had, so I knew what to work with them. I broke it up with my backline profile. The backs were actually much stronger in organizing, and they could bring the forwards into the game, because they were much stronger than the forwards. Some other teams will have a stronger pack of forwards again, and then the difference is there. There's our losers. They had almost the same brain profile as our backs, and then the tight forwards. Sorry. So if you work that out, then you understand what kind of people you're working with, where you can go with your team, how you can who you can listen to, who are just talking to you because you also want to be noticed, who's the guys who bring substance to the team, all those kind of things, and suddenly the team function on their own cylinders, and you as a coach, you become the conductor of the orchestra. Everybody knows where to fall in when they do something. Okay, that's me.
Thank you very much, Peter. We'll give an opportunity again to anyone that would like to ask any questions. Please just unmute yourself and then just go ahead and ask Peter any question that's related to his presentation.
maybe it's my face, Tom, or maybe they're just afraid of me, or
Maybe,
um,
maybe-
I hope that and I gave you more of these little things. If you remember years back, I don't know how many of the stuff you do still have, but to me it is very important that the high performance coaching must first be done to your players before you get to your technical coaching. What we do wrong sometimes, we go to technical coaching first, and we don't know who we're working with and what make them tick. So you must understand the person, and then the different cultures is very important. But um, rich and poor and you just have to understand what you're working with. But the great thing of a team sport is that the weakness of the one person become the strength of the other person. And if you can use it within his environment, what he knows, what makes him tick, he will feel so good about himself, even if he doesn't have what other people has.
Thanks, Peter. Uh, anyone has any questions? Go ahead, Rafa. Just unmute yourself and
Okay, Vinaka, thank you. Just great to have you in, Peter. Just asking in regards to the unteachable players. What are some, some pros and cons that you use to put them in alignment to what you want to do? Because I've trained some of hard knocks in regards to, and it's really hard to train. What are your advice on that area? Thank you.
Yeah, some of them are really, I'm telling you, coaches will rather get rid of them than to have them in the team because they're disruptive at most times and all those kind of things. I love them. I really love them because when things go tough, they're the ones who stand up for the team. But you need that guy to bring them across. Um, I went to a club to help them, and there was a big prop, but he was very disruptive. He was very disruptive, and he came to one practice and then he doesn't come to another practice. He's just all over. So he's the main out. So I went to him and I said to him, listen here, um, on Monday night, I want to do some scrummaging, but I want you to come do the scrummaging for me. Because you understand about scrummaging so much. But while you're busy with scrummaging, please listen to what the backs are also saying about using that ball that you're gonna produce to them, you know. So that Monday he was there first. He was there ready. He's gonna do the job. I allowed him one or two things, and then I went on with my own coaching, and then I allowed him again, and he felt so good about himself. And then I understood when he grew up, nobody listened to him. Nobody gave him a chance in his life to say what he feels. And that thing was sitting in him. So whenever somebody else says something, he's challenging it, not because it's challengeable, because he just want to challenge everything because nobody listened to him in his life. So yeah, you bring that guy apart and say, yo, I love what you bring to this team. I love it, but the way you bring it, you are challenging my authority now in front of everybody else. So can we just do whatever you want to bring? Can we do come earlier, discuss it with me, and I allow you to do it. But please don't challenge me in front of this team because if you do that, I have to get rid of you. And if I get rid of you, rugby going to be so much worse off without you. But you will have nothing else in life that will make you tick. And there's just ways and means of, and you know how. And sometimes you have to get somebody to run over him in the practice too, just to shut his mouth, you know.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Thanks, Rafa. Anyone else got another question for Coach Peter?
All right, Tom, Bula, Punaka.
Yes, thank you, Peter. I think we'll let you
Um,
go on to your next commitment, but I think everyone. Go
we
ahead.
did tour Fiji in 2001, so I do understand the place and the people a bit. And this is the best place in the world. I mean, the water, the people, wow, everything. And yeah, God's speed on your job and what you are doing, and all these other guys. Coaching is not for the faint-hearted. Coaching, I said the other day to my wife, if she did to me what rugby did to me, I would have been divorced long time ago. Our passion sometimes just come in the way of our common sense, but never give up, because passion is what makes you you. And yeah, I end off by saying to you, forget about the brand of shoes you wear. It's not this kind of shoes you wear that will take you somewhere. It's how you walk in it will take you to the destiny which is meant for you. So God bless you all, and thank you for the opportunity.